So I recently saw the new Terminator Zero series from Netflix, and it definitely changed my mind about the Terminator series. First, when I saw the trailer, it definitely looked like any normal existing Terminator movie, but it was better. Like, my interest instantly started to peak from the very first 5 minutes of episode 1. We got the common scene from all Terminator movies in the first 5 minutes of pilot itself. Our main character, Eiko, I guess I might be pronouncing it incorrectly. I'll just say Eiko, fighting and defeating the Terminator, which is, to be honest, the main scene from all the Terminator movies. We have one Terminator, one good guy, or gal in this case, and they fight, and ultimately our main character wins, which later on turned out to neither be our main character and nor the scene from the past. After that, we meet Malcolm Lee, a scientist dude who is definitely not responsible for creating robot uprising, right? By the end of the season, turns out he actually is not. He creates Kokoro and also Misaki. I have a lot of thoughts on her, but we'll come back to her. Coming back to Kokoro, Kokoro turns out to be another Alexa, but with full control of all the weapon system. Can we please stop giving a full control of all our tech to our AI system? Why not just start with some smaller scale full control, right? Like giving our vacuum cleaner full control or something like that. For the sake of story, let's continue. Our Mr. Lee decides to create an AI with no inputs from external sources. He lets the AI learn and feel right and wrong on its own based on what it sees and I guess feels, quote unquote, which on its own is quite confusing. Like, how without any set of rules will it decide what it deems right and wrong, or how it what guides her decisions? But never mind that. Let's say this makes sense. Skynet, on the other hand, was given full control by the external set of rules, based on which it decides what is right and wrong, and ultimately decides that humanity needs to be exterminated. Okay, this all seems well and good. One thing that I really liked about Kokoro was that there were some human-like sentiments to it. Like, it created its own name, or we can say her own name, because she obviously gave gender to herself. Kokoro learned everything on its own without any external intervention. Like some external intervention when literally the military people, or not the military, resistance people come and I guess hurt our Mr. Lee. We get introduced to Misaki after this, and to be honest, during this scene, I totally thought she was talking to a zombie, which turned out to be another robot. But even though the interactions were not too strange, we were left with an uncertain feeling every time we see her on screen. And that ultimately made it so much easier for us to accept that she is a robot later on. The best example being the robot itself, designed to help humans, was not able to recognize her. In my opinion, this reveal was perfectly done. So many movies and TV shows does it very wrong. We meet the three kids, the curious/genius big brother Kenta, stubborn/daring sister Rika, and not so genius younger brother Hiro. We see Malcolm, who is struggling with dreams of world getting destroyed. It apparently has a very small window to stop it from actually happening. We get to know that Misaki is not very good caretaker. She literally leaves everyone on their own, and then Rika just leaves the building out of window. We get to the breath scene. We see our evil Terminator beating a lot of police officers to get to Malcolm. Malcolm ultimately gets away, but we see Echo fighting our Terminator and showing us a very ordinary human abilities, quotes unquote, like being able to jump outside of a falling truck. Well, jokes aside, it was cool. But this leads to my favorite scene from the show, to be honest. Misaki's and Echo's journey together, which totally reminded me of Terminator 1. I was just worried about how John Connor will get born in this situation. Okay. After this was the, in my opinion, most creepiest scene from Terminator series. A creepy looking man in a suit cornering a child. Like, this definitely was intentional. The scene was very tense and it truly did made everyone uncomfortable. The police department scene was epic. It was full of tension and cool action, which leads to the reveal that Misaki is not actually a human. We also see our first glimpse of Kenta's outlook of robots. Misaki being their, like, one of their family member, he still feels like she's just another robot. So that is kind of a foreshadowing for the later scene. We get to know the full stakes of the situation when Skynet attacks and Malcolm is left with only a choice between complete destruction and uncertainty. He activates Kokoro, who actually stops the attack for now. The scene between Echo and old lady where they talk about timeline and paradoxes was very interesting and completely made sense to me. I only had one question. How did she know about different time traveling robots if every time traveling robot changed the future? But after digging a bit, I realized that her name literally is the Prophet. So I'm guessing she had some connections to all the different timelines. We find that Misaki also has some human feelings for other robots. She tries to free up the tied up robot, which ultimately gets blown up. We see the fight between the normal people and Misaki, which ultimately again leads us to the scene where Kenta tries to quote unquote kill Misaki. I don't know what his deal was there, like why so much hatred. Nothing really happened between him and the robots, but I guess right after that Kenta gets taken hostage by the Terminator dude, and like jumping to the very end, he very easily trusts the Terminator for some reason, just because the Terminator says that Kenta sent him. But I guess we can say that he is still a child, so I guess that makes somewhat sense. Coming back to the story, we get to see Malcolm's backstory, which reveals a lot about Misaki and Kokoro. It shows the desperate time they were living in. Like, even 5-year-old children are being enlisted to fight. We see how he get to become the expert of all the technology related to Terminators and robots. And also we see how he is so lean and fit as a scientist. All you need to do is resist a mass murdering robot army. We see he takes up a different ideology on how to defeat Skynet. He builds another AI which names herself Misaki. So cool. Later he takes out that chip, I guess, out of Misaki and uses it to create Kokoro. The only thing that got me confused again was how did that left Misaki with all her functions but took her memories? Seemed a bit sluggish writing, but Never mind, let's move forward. Terminator asks Malcolm to open the door, but he obviously denies because there was a lot at stake. As we know now, how Malcolm has fought the Terminators in the past. Here, for the first time, we see the Terminator actually does not kill Kenta, even though there was no reason for him to leave him alive. The point where he starts hurting Kenta in hopes that Malcolm will open the door actually made me feel like I don't know at what point the Terminator will stop, because obviously the only thing different between humans and Terminator is Terminator does not have any humanity. The fight between Iko Misaki versus the Terminator was amazing. The end twist was unexpected. I did not have any idea that Iko was the mother of Malcolm, which somehow made a lot of sense. Like, we can see a lot of similar behavior between the two. The suspenseful ending was amazing. First season was great. It left out some tasty questions for future, but still fulfilled all the major plots of season 1. This was very satisfying to watch. Like, the story in itself was very greatly paced. All the questions that we had from the very start were answered till the end. So I really liked it. I have a lot of thoughts on this show, and I would like to go to make more deeper videos. Let me know how did you like it.